Black men unified defeat the system. The system benefits when black men are divided. There's no community, collaboration, togetherness, and a pooling together of intelligence and ideas. No one man holds the total blueprint for conquering the system. The system fuels itself from individuality and separation. How fragmentation in the black male community fuels the system as it is in the United States. A fragmented group can only build small, fragile operations. Mom and pop shops are short lived initiatives that pose zero threat to dominant market monopolies. The system intentionally encourages individualism because it ensures that Black economic power remains localized, reactive, and incapable of scaling into massive institutions like banks, land trusts, or media conglomerates that could challenge the status quo. In the white community, they use as much opportunity, resource, whatever they can pull and grab to re emphasize to the world of their unified mentality, whether it be Marvel movies, individuals going to Comic Con, everybody's dressed up and speaking to their collectivism and their shared understanding of the importance and value of these Marvel movies on their identity, on their felt connection to the group. And you better believe white people don't waste no time letting you know this is our creation, this is our idea. If you really pay attention to the white community, they use what black men view as consumerism as pillars to re-emphasize this idea of a unified group, even in politics, you name it, music. The efficiency of self policing. Managing an oppressed population requires massive energy and resources from the state. However, if you can convince that population to view each other as the primary threat, they will police, exploit, and destabilize themselves for free. Enforced division ensures that horizontal hostility, fighting peers, replaces vertical resistance. So, even social media, in a lot of ways, kind of continues to fuel this idea of division in the Black male psyche. The arguments, the debates over really nuanced situations. Social media just sort of, in a lot of ways, created a platform to just highlight and emphasize more division, if anything. And benefits of the Black male group really unifying and how this can defeat the system. Unity is the solution for conquering this system. The multiplier effect of capital. When dollars circulate exclusively within a fractured community, they leak out instantly. Pooling resources creates a closed loop economy. A single dollar passing through a network of Black owned businesses multiple times before leaving the community builds collective wealth, funds local infrastructure, and reduces dependence on predatory financial systems. Intellectual aggregation and cognitive diversity. No single person possesses the blueprint for navigating a rigged system. When Black men pool their ideas together, you combine the street level strategist, the corporate operator, the academic, and the tradesman. We have such an array of diversity of Black intelligence, and we have to really pay cautious attention to being too egoic and, how can I say it, insulated from our brothers. Sometimes your intelligence and your knowledge can create a barrier for other brothers even really connecting with you because they're looking at you like, well, you come off like you have all the answers. You come off like you don't really need anybody. Why am I going to work with you? So you have to be able to embrace your intellect and your knowledge, but without letting it become an obstacle for other brothers coming to you. Because sometimes I listen to other people and the other black men in our community and their thoughts and their ideas on the economy, their thoughts and ideas on politics, their thoughts and ideas on the status of our community. But what I'm not hearing is the conditions for like an invitation. It's almost like once we get knowledge, once we get educated, we get kind of pompous, and it kind of gives off this message of I'm either smarter than you, I'm better than you. We have to remove this level of judgment from our brothers in our black community. We can't keep playing this, I'm the one, I'm Neo, and all you other guys are, insignificant, or you're not a factor, or you're stupid, or you got, even when we have our opinions about these YNs, right? A lot of brothers are like, they're stupid, they're foolish. Why would they do? We have to even be careful with language like that, because at the end of the day, we need these YNs. We need them. Nobody generally, for the most part, stays a YN. Who doesn't go through a phase in the stage where you're doing things you're not really proud of? That's all cultures. And I'm not saying that, this should be celebrated. However, once these brothers turn around and turn into a righteous life, you think they're going to forget people who stumped on them, put them down, disrespected them, called them stupid, called them foolish? And now, when these brothers become successful, and they're doing the right thing, now everybody wants to gather around them and pull together from their resources. They're looking at you niggas like, wasn't you the same guy that was calling me stupid? Wasn't you the same guy that was insulting me? Wasn't you the same guy that was saying this or that? Those attacks while these kids are young, that stays with you. It doesn't just go away. That stays with you. You remember how people made you feel when you were struggling to kind of get it right. So even what you're saying against these YNs and these brothers out here who really struggling, and we do have an enemy spiritually. Don't forget. So the enemy's going to do everything in his power. This is a supernatural situation that we're in this human existence. You're basically sitting on the planet hanging on nothing. So you got to look at this too spiritually. Not making any excuses for the brothers, but you don't know what sort of supernatural battle they're against, or what the enemy is doing when they try to get it right to pull them back down. And what elders or mentors can we go to even explain that? A lot of you guys don't even believe in God, or you think Christians are foolish, you think this and that. So that divides even opportunities for young men to even get spiritual guidance. So just little things that we do, we have to really pay attention to and be cautious of. And I have a client I'm working with, an older white guy. He's like in his 70s, 80s, did all kind of crime when he was younger. Just stuff that he doesn't even want to talk about in therapy because he's so ashamed of it. But even in those years of him doing all those crimes, even the police and the law system was giving him breaks. Still, people were still giving him opportunities. So it's like, why can't it be the same for our brothers? Why does it have to be? And I think a lot of times black men tend to emulate the sort of white dominancy and the white dominant narrative of how black people should be. So when they see brothers doing things that they don't really agree with, they sort of kind of come off like, the enemy, you know, and just pay attention to that. So when black men pull their ideas together, you combine the street level strategist, the corporate operator, the academic, and the tradesman. This mastermind effect creates a collaborative intelligence that can spot economic traps and map out high yield opportunities faster than any individual. That's the problem. As black men, we're trying to do this individually. We're trying to fight against a unified system from an independent individual front. It doesn't add up. So, navigating the systemic bias alone carries a heavy psychological toll, often leading to chronic stress and burnout. A unified brotherhood acts as an emotional and professional shock absorber. Knowing there is a baseline of unconditional support turns a hostile environment into a manageable terrain, reducing the mental friction of daily survival. Just knowing you got some brothers, some black men in your corner who got your back despite all the different stresses and challenges. When I went to Florida, It was my first time in a long time. I grew up in Detroit around majority black people, but when I went to Florida recently, it was my first time in a long time being surrounded by brothers. And I'm not gonna lie to you, even as crazy as people drive in Miami, crazy. Why do they even give you guys licenses? And a lot of it is not black folks. A lot of you guys are you Hispanics, you Latinos, you people from different countries, you black folks. All of you guys are just the worst on these roads. But even with dealing with that, compared to being in California, because it's a little bit the same, knowing I had brothers, just knowing psychologically it was black people in the community, it was a shock absorber. I'm like, man, it's all good. If I'm dealing with it, I'm sure other righteous black folks that are trying to do the right thing are dealing with it. So I can push through this. When I'm out here in California and I'm 1% in Ladera Ranch of the African American community, and I'm dealing with some of the same triggers, it's heavier. You're kind of like, man, so having that felt sense of like baseline support in the community makes a big difference. So together we're stronger, praying that we see that, and you guys have a blessed day. I'm out.